Hey, hello everyone. Today I would like to explain you how to upload and download any file to S3 bucket via Spring Boot API. So when we talk about this, the very initial architecture flow gonna look like something like a client is sending a request, attaching a file, saying that hey, can you save this file? So the server will be saving it, and whenever the client requests the server saying that hey, I want this particular file, so the server will be responding back with the file whatever you had provided earlier. So this is what the basic communication gonna look like, but to be look more deeper, the architecture gets bit more complicated. The architecture is gonna like the client, the moment it sends a request, it's going to hit the controller. Not always it will hit the controller. Initially it might go through the load balancer and the API authentication. Those are like security and scaling level of things that we'll be looking in future projects. But for now, to keeping it simple, from the client, the request is going to hit the controller. From the controller, it's going to hit the service. From the service, it's going to utilize the AWS SDK or AWS API to interact with the AWS S3 bucket to uploading or to get or putting the object to the S3 bucket. Okay, this is what the detailed architecture is gonna look like. Without any delay, first thing we need to do is we need to go to start.spring.io website. The moment you go to this website, this is what the page gonna look like. You can switch to bright or dark. Personally, I love dark theme. So this website is particularly to generate your project and to keep the architecture, I mean your project structure static. So this is a always a go-to place whenever you want to work on a new project. First thing, you can choose what build tool you're gonna use, Gradle or Maven. My all-time favorite is Maven, so I'm gonna choose Maven, and the language is going to be Java. And choosing the Spring Boot version, you can even go to the latest, but I always recommend you to use the LTS version rather than the snapshot, because snapshot is still in the testing phase or not in the long-term supporting phase. So always go with the LTS version. Right now it's 3.5.6, and the group I'm gonna say that pk cloud co dot s3 endpoint. So this is what my bad. This is what my group and package name gonna look like, and the name I'm going to set it saying that S3 endpoint, and description we can leave it, but still to keep it better, file upload and download to S3 via Spring Boot. Okay, nice description. And I'm going to keep the packaging jar and the Java version to be 17 itself, and moving to dependencies. So the first dependency I would need is the web, because this is what the starter job gonna help me to build the RESTful services. And after that I need a Lombok, which gonna reduce my boilerplate code, so which will be looking in the thing. So right now I oh my god, so we need to update the artifact as well. I just updated the name, so I'm just going to change it to be the same S3 endpoint. Okay, and after doing everything, so I'm just going to generate it. So it is getting generated. Now let me open my IDE. So once I opened in my IDE, this is what it's going to be look like. The path I downloaded is in the download path, and this is the S3 endpoint, the project. So I didn't create any single thing on this, not even a single thing. Starting from the source, main, test, all the directories has been well structured, and it's already created by Spring Starters. Thanks to Spring Starters. Now, if you look at the pom.xml, we already whatever the inputs we provided is already in the place. The group ID is okay, and the artifact ID Oh, this is the parent one. If you look at the artifact ID S3 endpoint, so the description, everything good. And coming to the dependencies, if you look at the dependencies we choose in the web, and lambok is good, and test by default will be added. So upon this we need one more dependency as well, which is Amazon S3 dependencies. So I'm just going to paste it. So this is the dependency. If you look at, so software.amazon.aws SDK, and the artifact is going to be S3. So this is the group ID, and for this project I'm going to use the version 2.5.2, which is supported for Java 17. So this is the dependency I'm gonna use it. So after this, the first thing I'm gonna do is, if you look at the source main Java, so before even doing anything, let's quickly test it. If you go to this thing, wow, it's already generated some code as well. If you look at it, it added a Spring Boot application. It says project JDK is not defined. Let me set up quickly. What we're gonna do is we're gonna click on current application just to see everything is working good. And if you see, it says it's picking up and everything all good. So there is no any error, there is no any issues, all good. So now what we're gonna do is we're going to start our development. And before even starting our development, first thing we have to need to do is we're going to create a bucket on S3, and go to S3, and the first bucket I'm going to create right now, saying the bucket name is file storage slash make cloud code. The bucket name should be always unique, so I try to keep something more to like a personal or organization where we're working on, because then it will match, depends on our requirement. And I say the ownership, I'm just going to keep it as it is, disabled, and public access going to be blocked, and everything. So I'm just going to keep all the settings as it is. I'm not going to make any changes for that, and I'm going to create this bucket. Okay, my bucket is successfully created, and right now there is no any files at the S3 bucket. And in my ID, if I go to the resources, and you see there is application.properties, and this is already has been created. And my personal suggestion is, I don't really like to have the properties file rather than the YAML, because YAML is more organized, and it's easy to manage, and it's much better, I would say. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm just copying the Spring application name the entirely, so that I don't miss it. And I'm going to, yeah, so I'm gonna rename this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep the name as it is. You can type YAML or YML, both are acceptable format. So to keep it more easier, we just keep it YML. And here, so as it is a YAML, it's not going to allow you to keep like dot 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 or equal to. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep it Spring, and it is separated with the indentation. So then again colon, indentation to make a differences, then colon. So this is what the YAML going to look like. So after this, what I'm going to do is I already created a S3 bucket, but to reach my S3 I need a AWS related configuration at endpoint. So first thing I need is saying that AWS colon access key ID. So for now I'm just going to, I'm going to copy paste my access keys. Or even before copy pasting, what I'm gonna let me complete the entire thing, so it will be much easier. So then I need a access key. Along with my access key I need a secret key as well. Okay, and after that I need to mention which region it's going to be. And I created this bucket in I believe in Canada. Check that. If you go here, you see it is created in CA Central. So I'm just going to type the same. And after this, I'm just going to say in which bucket I need uh, to work on. So I'm saying clearly it's the bucket name going to be, I believe I created file upload hyphen pk cloud code. If you see, okay, it's not upload, it's going to be pk file storage. Okay, all good. Finally, I'm going to copy paste my access key, and definitely I'm not gonna show you the access keys whatever I'm copy pasting, but even you should do the same, because access keys are something you should never share to the folk. Yep, I had updated my YAML. Now it is having with its secret key and access key. Now next thing what we're gonna do is we need to create um, a project structure in such a way that we can be able to easily manage our controller, service, and other things as well. So what we're going to do now, right now is under this package we're going to, it's mentioned twice S3 endpoint. Oh, my bad. That's fine. But let's, or else let me try to correct it. So here, if you see here, okay, here group ID looks good. So I just need to update only here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just click on refactor and rename, and all directories. Just going to change it to this, and it's going to be updated all around. So before even creating the sub packages, let me try to rerun this. Perfect, all good. Now let's create the packages quickly. So the first package going to be our config, where we're going to keep all our configurations. Next is the controller, as we seen in the flowchart. So that's where the client will be reaching out. Next is controller. From controller, if you remember, the next place it's going to reach is the service, right? And yeah, these are the three things we needed. And also I always recommend you to create one more package always, util which you will be having your helper classes, and in this project as well we need a helper class. And under the config, the first Java file we're going to create is the S3 config. Here we're going to keep all our SD configuration at this place. So if you see, the first annotation we need to add to make this particular class as a configuration class is configuration. So it makes this particular class as a configuration class. Next is, I need a few things, which is required to create a S3 client. First is I need an access key. Then I need my, that's right, secret key. Then I need to know my region as well to create the S3 client. So I'm going to say region. Perfect. We have created the variables, but we need to inject all these variables with the respective values from the YAML file. So for that, what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna say value, which I need to get it from this particular property, AWS access key ID. Okay, so if you see this particular thing should be matching with your YAML, and right now I blurred it, but you see this is what AWS access key ID. So what you should provide your access key and your secret key, so that you should be able to connect to the your S3 service. Okay, next again we're going to say value and dollar flower bracket, then again AWS secret key. Similarly value, sorry, dollar col of lower bracket AWS dot region. Okay, perfect. Now this thing gonna help us to inject everything. Next, we need our S3 client to interact with our S3 bucket. So I'm gonna say S3 client. First, we need to provide our credentials so that it's going to help us to create the S3 client. So to do that, what we need to use is AWS basic and credentials. Okay, so I need this object so that I can get my S3 client and AWS basic credentials. And here, if you look at it, dot create. If you look at the create, I need to pass my access key ID as well as the secret key. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pass my AWS. Sorry, I'm gonna pass access key ID, comma my secret key. Okay, so this particular object has my credential details. Now I need to return S3 client dot builder dot, actually this is gonna be messy, so what I'm gonna do is dot region. I'm going to pass a region, then again dot credentials. I'm going to pass, we cannot pass it as it is, so we need to call the static credential provider. Yeah, then say create, then we have to pass our AWS cred. Cool. Then I'm gonna say build. It's going to build and everything it's gonna provide me. But the thing is, just by doing, one moment, I see there is a catch. It says, oh, it's a string, right? We cannot pass a string, and this particular needs a region inside. So what I'm gonna say, region dot off. I need to pass it, so it's going to return me the region object. Okay, perfect. So now, even though I created this S3 client, this need to be registered as a Spring component. So what I'm gonna say, I need to annotate with bean annotation. So this component can be utilized anywhere in the project. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to create the service class. Here I'm gonna say this name as S3 service, and here in the top we need to annotate it with service. Then first variable I need is, I believe you would have guessed it, it's a bucket name. Then yes, that's going to be S3 client. Usually I prefer to use the lambok, but instead of, as we have the additional variable, so we can go with the constructor parameter. So yep, so this is going to auto override the things, and also we need to inject the value for the S3 bucket. So I'm gonna say value dollar flower bracket and AWS dot S3 bucket dot name. Perfect. Next, I need two functions. One is to upload and the other one is to download. So I'm gonna say public string upload file. So now just keep it null. Okay. So why string? Because once we upload it, we have to return the file key. What's the name we're going to store it. So that with that key, the user can fetch it easily. So that's what we're gonna do now. So if you see, and for uploading we need to pass the multi-part file. Okay, and I'm just going to do the same and say pub byte and download file. Okay, here I need to pass the which object I need to fetch. So we need to pass the key. Okay, again here for now I'm just going to keep it null. So here we created a service. Now let's work on the service before even creating a controller. First thing is, once I receive the once now first thing I need to do is I need to generate a key. The moment the file I received, I need to provide the key back to the user so that they can use that particular key to fetch it. Because the inside the buckets the file name should be unique. We cannot have the repeated files. Even if the user upload the same file, we can save it with different name. That's why we're gonna use the key and say UID random ID. So it's going to help me with the file name. Cool. And of course I'm going to return that key only here. So this is good. Next what we're gonna do is I'm going to put this object. You have to pass the bucket name dot I'm sorry key, and then the content type what it's going to be, and then I'm just going to build it. Okay, so we created this. Now we have to upload this into S3. So for that we're going to use the S3 client. S3 client dot put object, and here first I need to put my object which I created. Then I need to pass the actual content whatever we received it. For that we need to use request body dot from bytes, and then the file what we received it, we're just going to get the byte data for that. Perfect. So we successfully uploaded it. Okay, so all good, but we need to handle something else. We see some error. What's that? It says that unhandled exception. Okay, and there are some chances of exception to occur. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to add a try catch. Okay, for now I'm just going to keep it new and message. For my better sake, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say error uploading file to S3. Along that I'm going to pass the exception as well. Okay, now the upload part is done. Next what I'm going to do is I'm going to similarly work on the download part. On the download part, first we are similarly like put object, we need to get the get object. equal to dot builder dot, similarly we need to pass the bucket name, okay, and then that's right, key, and then build it. Great. Next what we need to do is we need to get the as we're going to get the, okay, before that let me try to do S3 client dot get object as bytes. Here I'm going to pass the object, okay. So I need to catch it to return it. To do that, so what I need to do is, what it is returning is, it's going to return me get object response. Now it's going to return me the response object, which is response bytes and get object response. Here we go, okay, and it's going to be get bytes or get object bytes, okay. And then we need to return that in the bytes format. So what we're going to do is get object bytes dot as byte array, okay. And similarly there are chances it might also, but right now there is no any exception. Yeah, you see it also throws some few exceptions, so we need to handle the exception here as well. So what I'm gonna do, in case, because these are the safer side when we do the code, so I'm just going to say try again. Here I'm going to pass the message saying error downloading. நீ சாப்பிடுமா, அப்போ நான் சாப்பிட, நான் ஒர்க் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன். சரி வை. Error downloading the file from S3, okay. So the beauty is we had completed both the upload file as well as the download file, so we are good with the services, so it's perfect. The next thing we need to do is we need to work on the controller, that's right. And even before working on the controller, what I would recommend you to do is create a API envelope. So what is API envelope? So you need to create a structured response irrespective of whatever the request has been sending it to you. You need to give a structured response for it. So that's why I'm gonna create a API envelope. Okay, and this is where our Lambo gonna help. But before looking at it, first I'm just going to say what are the things I need when I'm giving the responses. The status, what is the status going to be? It's like 201, 202 or 300, whatever. So first status, after that we need to provide the message saying that file is uploaded or downloaded or whatever. and the actual payload. The actual payload, and here the T, it shows issue because I forgot to add it here. Okay, yeah, perfect. Then I need to provide the timestamp, and then the path, and finally if there is any trace ID. Okay, there is again. Okay, and the trace ID, right? Trace ID. So irrespective whatever the request or response, not even the request, the response whatever we are getting from API, this is a standard response would be. That's why we are creating this template. And first thing is we going to add the data annotation, so it automatically generates your getters, setters, and all the necessary functions. And I'm going to make this uh, particular class like a builder class. So I'm going to call builder, then I need no R constructors, then I need all R constructors. Okay, all good. Now we are done with this. Next we need to do finally the controller, and the controller name is going to be file controller. Okay, or even we can call S3, but yeah, file controller should be good. So first we need to make it REST controller, and we need to make it request mapping to keep it much better. I'm going to say API slash files. Okay, next, to perform all the activities we need a S3 service. If you remember the flow diagram, from controller it goes to the S3 service, so we need the S3 service. Then we need to create the constructor for this file controller. So I say public file controller, and we're going to pass the S3 service. We are doing this to do the auto wiring. Okay, perfect. Next we're going to create a controller for uploading a file. So first thing we need to do is we need to create a function. Sorry, it's going to giving the response going to be the response entity. So I'm going to say response entity. Here I am just going to pass the template whatever I created, which is the API envelope, and in API envelope my data going to be a string. Okay, then I'm going to say the function name going to be upload file, and if you remember we need to get the multipart file, which is multipart file, and also I'm going to get the HTTP servlet request as well, which will be really helpful for this activity. Here we go. Okay, for now I just keep it null. to avoid throwing any errors. First thing we need to do is the annotation. Here, going to say upload. Okay. The next thing is, if you see, one thing is missing. We forgot to add the request param because we'll be getting the data from there. So we need to map it as well. Okay. So whatever we pass in the request parameter, so this it has to be matched with this particular name. Then only it will be passing it to the this multi-part file object. The next thing the next thing is we need to call the S3 service dot upload file, and I'm going to pass the file. And if you remember, the upload file going to return me the string data. Okay, so I'm going to capture that. I'm going to capture the string key, or even better, file key. Okay, so it's going to return me the file key. Now I'm going to, everything is done, so all I need to do is I need to organize the response right now. So I'm going to say response entity dot status. I'm going to set the status code, so it's going to be http status dot it's created. Okay, then the body, I need to pass the, if you remember the API envelope, the thing I need to pass. So what I'm going to do here is say API envelope builder. Instead of just building it, I need to add some parameters as well. So dot status, I need to pass saying that it is success. Then message, I'm going to say file upload successful. Then the data, it's going to be the file key. And then we need to pass the timestamp. For timestamp, I'm going to say instant.now. So whatever the time it has been calling, we will be logging that. And then we need to pass the path. For the path, we're going to say, that's why we are attached the HTTP servlet request. So I'm going to say request dot get request URI. Okay. And then finally we need to, yes, trace ID. So for trace ID, I'm going to say UID dot random UID dot toString. So like we'll be using like proper way of creating the trace ID to handle it, but for now we are just for basic project purpose, we're just keeping it simple using UID and random ID. Okay, so right now the body and response entity, everything is well organized, so it's perfect. The file is done for upload. So similarly we need to do for the downloading the file. So for downloading the file, similarly we need to create the one more function, public, and it's going to be the response entity. Here instead of just a string or the API response, we need to send the actual file. So for sending the actual file, we need to mention it as saying that resource. Then a function name is going to be a download file, and here we are expecting the key for the file for which we need to fetch it. I'm saying string key for now, and again I'm going to keep it null at the moment, and I need to map it. First I say to get mapping, and for the get mapping I'm going to say download, and I need to pass the key here. Okay, so to map the key whatever we are sending to this particular function's parameter, we need to add one more annotation called as path variable. Okay, nothing to get overwhelmed. After the coding, I'll just give a quick walkthrough everything so we understand it so precisely. Next, SA service dot download file, and we are passing the key whatever we received. And if you remember, the download file is going to send us the byte value, so I'm just going to store it. Okay, so we have the file. Now we're going to wrap up our response. So we need to send the response entity, and it's going to say okay with the okay the header. First header I need to set is http header dot content disposition. Okay, and for this I need to say yeah, I guess it's good now. Okay, then we need to set the content type, and the content type is going to be a media. Okay, and then finally the body of the content, which is going to be byte array resource, and I'm going to pass the file bytes. Okay, now there's no error, all good, perfect. So finally we did our part. So what we're going to do is we're just going to have a walkthrough. First we deleted the application.properties and we had created .yml, and we're going to keep the application name as S3 endpoint itself. Then the we need to provide your access key, secret key, and the region and the bucket name whatever you had created. Okay, and after this we're going to create a packages. The packages are going to be config, controller, service, and util. First we created config. In S3 config we had injected the access key ID, secret key, and the region. With this help we have created the AWS basic credentials. Then we have passed this credential using static credential provider to create the credential provider. Then we had passed the region, then we built this and we got the S3 client, so that's good. And after this config we created the service. In the service, if you look at, we had auto wired the S3 client. Then we created two services, one is upload file and other is the download file. And in the upload file, whatever the file we are getting, we had generated the unique key so that always it would be uploaded. And after that we use the put object request object to by passing the bucket key and content type and everything, we had built this put object. Then using the S3 client we had actually put that object and we had uploaded it and passing the file details over here like file.getBytes. Okay, and we had handled the exception as well. And similarly we did the same thing for download, but instead of put object request we use get object request to get the objects. And we passed the bucket name key and build, and from SA client.get objects we had passed this. So then we return this. So this is what the service we did. And before even moving the controller, if you remember, we had created the util. Under the util we had created the API envelope. This is exactly the response template. So whatever the API request we are getting, we are always going to respond in the same way, where we are going to pass status, message, data, timestamp, path, and trace ID. And we are use these annotations to make our job more easier. The data is for generating the setters, getters, and toString all functions, and builder is to make this particular one into a builder class, noaux and algox for creating the constructors. Then finally we had created the controller, and the controller we had annotated the auto-wired the S3 service, and from this S3 service we had created the post mapping and get mapping. And the post mapping is to upload the a file to S3 bucket using the S3 service, and a download file we're going to use again S3 service to download the file. So this is what the code going to look like. Now let's try to run this code. Perfect. So there is no any error, there is no any logs, but let's try to post something. So I open my postman. Here I'm going to create a blank collection saying that S3 file service. Here I'm going to create my file upload, and it's going to be a post request. So then we have to go to files and say new file from local machine. Then we say new file from local machine. Click on the file whatever you want to upload, and I chosen it, and I say click send. Perfect. I had received the response. It says that 201, and the response looks so good. The status says success, message says file upload successfully, and the data, so this is going to be the file name. Whenever we're going to fetch it, we need to use this particular key name. So I just copy this and keep it. Then if you see timestamp, this is the timestamp that has been uploaded, and this is the path has been used to upload the file, API files upload. Okay, and this is a trace ID. It looks really good. So let's look at the bucket. If you go to S3 bucket, we need to refresh this. Then yeah, here we go, the file has been uploaded. And let me search the file name. You see the file name which I copied, it's matching exactly the same on the bucket. So it looks good. Now what we need to do is let's create one more request, and it's going to be file download. Okay, so files download, and then I need to pass my file name. Okay, so if I it should be git. Okay, it should be get. Okay, now if I click on this, I see it's 200. Okay, and I received it, but you see this is the whatever we uploaded was the PNG file. We're not able to receive it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to create a hello world.txt file, and I'm going to see all the files in the desktop. Just the PNG file is available. So what I'm gonna do is I say hello world.txt file. Okay, and here I say hello world, and I save this file. Okay, if I see what's the content here, it says hello world. Nice. So I'm gonna upload the same file into the S3 bucket. So in the PNG file I'm going to upload the TXT file whatever I created, and I post it. So I'm just going to copy this TXT file path, copy this, and if I go here in the name of PNG place, I'm just going to paste that and send it. You see, we can able to see the content as well as it is a TXT file rather than the image. So we are able to successfully upload a file, download a file from S3 bucket. I hope you like this project based explanation. If you like to crack any other project based learning, or if you want to do something, just share it in your comments, and please give a like if you really like this video, and also share your thoughts what can be improved and how we can improve a lot so we can help the community do a better coding. Thank you so much. See you guys soon.